All right, moving on to the second step of our motif color wheel right here. I've got my first image cut out and placed in here. I'm ready to actually colorize it and make it match the yellow. Again, before you do this, make sure that it is positioned kind of where you want it. It's lined up and you feel like it's about the right size and the right placement, because we're going to use that to do all of our other colors here. So I'm going to just resize this a little bit, and I'm going to be kind of taking note at like where the wheel hits here, maybe his hand, because I'm going to use that to help me guide in the next couple steps. All right, so at this point, I'm going to add my color adjustment layer. I could rotate and do this first and get all my images set up, but it's going to be easier if you do the color first and then duplicate both layers. So I'm going to go down here, hit my adjustment. I'm going to do a solid color. I'm going to pick my color. Sorry, my color window was somewhere else. And I can change this later. I know it's going to be yellow. So it's going to be a yellow color. Now I know this isn't the right color. I'm going to pick something a little bit off just to show you. I can't see it, so I need to make this a clipping mask. So right click, make it a clipping mask. So it's a solid color. It's a lot closer to that yellow-green. I'm going to fix that in a second. We still can't see our image, so I need to change the layer type from normal to color. Is going to be our best option right here. And so now we can see our image. It's kind of close to the right color, but I want to fix that. So all you have to do is double click. You get your pop-up here, and then I can now use my eyedropper and say, I want this color yellow. Or if you wanted the yellow orange, you can basically eyedropper right from that color wheel and pick the color that you want. So obviously for this one, I want my yellow. I hit OK, and that's all set up and ready to go. So now the nice thing is that's set up. All I'm going to do is I'm going to copy both of these layers. So I'm going to click this one, I have that selected. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to click this one. Now you can see both layers are selected, and I can right click and duplicate, or you can hold down Alt and duplicate those layers. I'm just going to hit OK. It's going to make a copy. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to eyedropper from blue so that I know I'm working with the blue one. Now that's sitting right over top, so I can't see the original yellow, but that's okay. I'm going to click on my copy of cab. So you remember that target that we made sure that we had set up on there. That's going to be an important aspect, because if I try to rotate this by hand and move this down here, you know, I could do it by hand, but it would be a lot more challenging to get it lined up. So let's make it easy. Hit undo, bring it back up here to where it was. I'm going to move that target. So drag that target down and tell it to put the center point on the center of the color wheel, and then all you have to do is rotate that around. It's going to spin right around that center point of the color wheel and keep your alignment nice and queued up there. And I'm going to look again at where my skateboard wheel is. It's right at the I and the M in primary. So if I zoom in down here and take a look at that, I'm just going to try to get that lined up, the I and the M. So that honestly looks pretty good to me. Zoom back out, and I think that looks pretty well aligned. So I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to select the top layer. I'm going to hold down Shift, select that one. I'm going to right click, duplicate. Okay. I'm going to double click, change my color to red, hit OK. And now I'm going to take this layer, move my target to the center of my color wheel. If you have trouble, you can always zoom in a little bit, make sure that you're really getting it in the center. It's definitely a little bit off, but pretty close. There we go. And then again, I'm going to rotate this right around to where it needs to be, over on this area. And again, make sure I'm looking at that skateboard wheel, the I and the M. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to zoom back out, and how easy is that? We got all three of our primary colors lined up in there. Okay, so that is basically the steps that we're going to do here. I'm going to show you one more quick thing before we get out of here. Now that we have all this set up, you can see we're going to have a lot of layers. You know, each individual layer is going to have that color fill layer. It gets confusing. Just with the primaries alone, I've got 6 layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these layers in a folder. I'm going to click on the top one, and I'm going to go down to, I want this one, I want this, I want this, I want this, and this all in a folder. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to hold down my Shift key, I'm going to click, and now I have all of those layers selected. I'm going to go down to the bottom of my layers panel, and I'm going to hit the make group, create group, and it's going to put them all in a group. And what do you think I'm going to call this? Primary. And now I have all of my primaries in this one folder. I can click the eyeball, show and hide that entire group. I can expand it, see everything here. I can go back and modify if I want, and that allows me to keep really organized. So my next step would be to throw in my next color, go edit that image, drag it, drop it in here, and repeat that process for my secondary colors. Pretty much exactly the same thing that I just did with the primaries. So I will see you in the next video. Hopefully you can follow along and get that all set up. Save yourself some time by setting those layers up before you copy and rotate, and you'll be smooth sailing right through this.